Wonderful water. Water for life, water for food, water for washing, water for hygiene and sanitation, water for transport, water even for recreation. What about water as medicine? Dr. Faye Ajimang is a naturopath, and he says that water is a great, if not the best medicine, and your consumption of a particular quantity and quality of water on a daily basis can greatly affect your health in the better direction. On the other hand, the fact that we drink relatively less water than we should be affects our health negatively. To find out more, join in my conversation with Dr. Faye Ajimang. Just post your questions and thoughts to the TV3 Sunrise page on Facebook. Good morning and welcome, Doc.
Good morning.
It's been a while and you're still looking good.
Thank you.
So this thing that I just said about water being medicine, how correct is that?
Well, you also say that water is life.
It's necessary for life. It is life. About over 60 or 70, about 70% of our body is actually water. Yes.
Yes. For the reproduction of life, we need water. In the sense that when the sperm fertilizes the ovum, there must be a medium in which you have water to sustain it. And so the fetus, before it is born, must break water. The womb will break water. Now, that water comes, from the baby itself or the fetus.
So as babies, we grow in the amniotic fluid in our mother's wombs, exactly. And a large part of that is water.
Yes.
And even when we are born,
yes.
Our physical bodies are constituted from about roughly 70% of our body is water.
Absolutely. And the whole world, actually, the globe itself is sustained by 70% water. And it is that which cleanses the earth, the water, through distillation. Natural distillation, because as we speak, the sun has begun to evaporate the water bodies, to create the clouds, and that is water in the gaseous form, in the form of gas, and then it falls as rain. But in terms of how water affects the body, we also have the foods that sustain us being 70% water naturally, as you have in the fruits and the vegetables. And so if we process our foods to the extent that we have less water in them, they affect, how well we feel.
And that's exactly what I want us to focus on. I want us to focus on something that is called water therapy, if I'm correct. I want us to look at the benefits, the methods of treatment, and the specifically targeted water therapies. For example, water therapy for weight loss, or water therapy for some other better health management result and outcome. Can you tell me a little bit about water therapy treatment?
Yeah, normally when you talk about water therapy, people are thinking essentially of the hydrogen, the normal water that we drink, in terms of how much water you drink. Normally, as you wake up in the morning, you want to drink a bit of water to help you to move your bowels. Beyond that, if you take high water content food in terms of the fruits and vegetables, that also gives you the full complement of the water that you need in the morning. In the afternoon, before you eat, you will need to drink water, because after eating, if you drink water, you dilute your saliva, which essentially is made up also of water. Now, in the evening, you also would need some water before you retire to bed to help with the assimilation of the food. And then in the morning, as I said, the little water that you drink will help with the elimination. So water essentially is something that we need on a constant basis, as long as, especially those of us in the tropics, because the temperature level should be at such that we can create the normal body temperature. And without water, it's virtually impossible. If you don't drink enough water, your saliva actually would not be available for you to digest even the food.
Doc, how much is enough? How much is enough? Because an ordinary, person, an average person, I would say, just drinks water whenever he or she might feel thirsty, a sip now and then. But if we are to think of water as a cure or as a therapy or even a prevention of disease and ailment, how much would you think as an alternative medicine practitioner, as a naturopath, that one should take and when?
Well, every individual is unique, and I would say that, depending on where you are, your environment and your specific situation, condition, if you have diarrhea, you need more water to retain, to replenish the water that you're losing, through your bowels. But essentially, the more water you feel you need to drink would depend on every individual. You don't, have a specific amount of water that you say. Maybe some people say drink 6 cups of water in the morning, about 10 cups in the afternoon, and so on. But essentially, how you feel at any specific time will give you an idea of how much water you need to drink. If you walk on the sun, maybe from TB3 to High Street, definitely you're going to be dehydrated because you'll be losing water, and you need to replenish that water depending on how you feel. But like I said, before you eat, you need to drink water before you eat. After eating, you'll need your saliva to digest the food. So you don't need to drink too much water as most of us do after eating. And I think that is where the snag is, because most of the time, we overload ourselves with water, and we don't get the actual nutrients of the food from the food that we eat because we dilute them with excess water.
And you're saying that we should drink water before we eat, not after we eat?
Well, maybe an hour or so, depending on what you have eaten, because if you eat fruits, these are high water content foods, you would not feel thirsty thereafter, and you would get a full complement of all the nutrients. But if you eat the fruits and after that you drink too much water, you are diluting the nutrients, and you cannot replenish. The quality of the cells that you create would not be such as to be perfect to promote normal health.
Talking about what you call normal optimum health, we have daily habits. Most people drink with their food.
Well, that essentially is because we have corrosive elements in the food. For instance, if you have too much salt in the food, you would need to drink a lot of water.
You feel thirsty at once.
Yeah, because the salt is corrosive. Essentially, well, if you take salt in minimal quantities, just for the taste, fair enough. But there's some of us who just put too much salt in the food to the extent that we don't even know the taste of food anymore. And salt essentially is inorganic. And to put too much inorganic elements in your system, is deleterious to your health. So most of us drink too much water because we have corrosive elements in most of the foods, the condiments, and so on, and so on.
So you would say drink water an hour before eating or an hour after eating. Yes. How much?
Maybe a cup or two. If you're an athlete, you need more water, because you get dehydrated with overactive activity of the muscles. If you are a sedentary worker, you need a certain level of water, like yourself, not too much water, but you can flood your cells with water if you take water in excess, and that's not good enough. The cells require a conducive environment, to replace themselves, because as we speak we are losing cells. They must be replaced, and we need a certain amount of nutrients to achieve that.
And how much water should we optimally drink in the course of the day?
Maybe about 4 liters, depending.
4 liters?
Yes, 4 liters.
That's 8 of these bottles.
Yeah, we need a lot. We are in the tropics, you see. If you
so optimally, the best average is about 8 of these bottles, so 4 liters of water, 4 big bottles.
You can always gauge whether you're drinking enough water through the color of your urine. If your urine is colored, your urine essentially is golden in color, and a bit pale if you drink, too much water. And sometimes if you drink too much water, you have, your urine becomes colorless, you see. But if the urine is concentrated, thick, and the color sometimes becomes a bit wine, it shows that you're not drinking enough water. So I would say that you look at the urine, the color of your urine, anytime you pass, water. And then, tell yourself that you need something, to help cleanse the kidneys. For instance, if you drink tea, that most of us do in the morning, it takes a cup of tea will take about 24 hours to leave the kidney. So if you don't drink enough water, before long you have a kidney problem. Salt is the same with salt. If you take too much salt, it also affects the kidneys and so on. So you need a lot of water to neutralize these corrosive elements that you're putting into your body on a constant basis.
Now, these ideas you're sharing with me, they seem pretty simple and straightforward, and they sound really good and very practical. Like what you said about just to take note of the color, of one's urine. If it's too dark, it means you are drinking too little water. If it's completely colorless, you might be drinking too much water.
Exactly.
But this is not everyday knowledge that is taught to children at school or at home. Why?
Well, I would say, we're not too practical with our teaching. Education essentially is formal and informal, and I believe that most of these bits of information, snippets of information, should be coming from home rather than from school, because the university professors themselves did not attend. The essential and first university professors were people who taught themselves. And I believe that parents, education is formal and informal, like I said, and parents must take that responsibility, because our mothers were the first doctors, you remember, and they have a store of knowledge or understanding of how the human body works, and I believe they have to begin to share such information, with their offspring, their children. If we are unable, to share information, then we remain ignorant of how we can sustain the human body, to achieve or attain optimum health.
I've got our number up on the screen, 0302-763-470. You can see it for yourself, 0302-763-470. You can call and enjoy my conversation with Dr. Ofe Ajimang. He's a naturopath, a practitioner of alternative medicine. We are talking about water as a therapy, water as medicine, both preventive and curative. And talking about curative, there is a question from Fifi Gordon. He wants to know whether you think that water can help reduce the discomfort that people with varicose veins or people with varicocele may have.
Yes, essentially, when you have the cells not being pliable, it presupposes that you're missing some nutrients in your system, and the veins don't have the help of the heart, from the arteries. The heart pumps the blood to the rest of the body. The veins, have, through contraction and relaxation, should be able to move the blood back. But if that doesn't happen, the quality of the blood is affected. Blood essentially is 90% water. Your teeth has about 10% water. The bones about 13%. The heart also has a certain quantity of water that it requires to maintain the balance of the sodium and the calcium that are responsible for the contraction and relaxation, or the pumping action of the heart.
Yes, but as a practitioner of naturopathic medicine, would you prescribe specific water treatment for anyone suffering from any kind of disease? And the example of varicocele, which is a mass of varicose veins in the spermatic cord, is what Fifi Gordon was speaking of specifically. I've got a caller from Teshinungwa, Michael, on the line. Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, morning.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, morning. My question is that, hello, I can hear you.
Yes, Michael, you're on air.
Okay, my question is that there are, like me personally, if I'm eating, I normally take water. If I'm eating, I'll be drinking water without no salt, no pepper in the food, something like that. So, but the only thing I observe in me is that I don't consume as much food I could have consumed, because I feed a lot of my space with enough of water, so something like that. But I don't know if it is right for me, something like that. I don't know. That is my question.
Well, what do you think, Doc?
Yeah, I think for as long as he's not exhibiting any aberration, he has no illness, from that practice, I think it's fine. But, like I said, you need a certain, water is just hydrogen and oxygen. You need iodine, iron, molybdenum, zinc, selenium, and a host of, minerals and vitamins. Now, if you dilute your system with too much water, definitely you are not going to get a full complement of these elements that you require. So even though he's not expressing any aberration at the moment, I don't think in future he's going to have the perfect health that he's enjoying now because of the too much water that he's taking, and from what he's saying, it fills up too much space. And you have a space for water, space for food, and space for air in the tummy. So if you fill the tummy with too much water, definitely you're going to create an imbalance, which is responsible for all the illnesses that the imbalance.
Interesting question from Doris Chirma about the temperature of the water that we drink. Would you say that there is an optimum temperature of water that is good for us? Because many people like to drink very chilled or very cold water, especially in our climate, in our weather.
Absolutely. Essentially, you've answered the question because of the weather. Because if you are in the temperate zone, the frigid zone, you would not want to drink too much cold water. I mean, water that's too cold. But here, definitely, it's soothing.
And it's good for the health.
Yeah. Well, there's no, there's a bit of contraction when the water is too cold. And you can even feel it in your eyes if the water is too cold, because your eyes can give you an idea, of what goes on. It's, apart from the light, it's very sensitive. It can tell you so many things. So the water, depending on the weather, can be cold.
Georgina calling us from Osu. Good morning, Georgina. Thank you for joining us on Sunrise.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Georgina?
Yes, please.
Good morning, and thank you for joining myself and Dr. Ofe Ajimang on Sunrise. What would you like to share with us?
I want to ask if you drink too much. I'll drink too much water every day, but every second I have to urinate. Is it good or is bad?
Great question. It's a convenience one. You drink lots of water.
Yeah.
Like you said, you move from 2 or 3 bottles a day to 8.
Yeah.
You should also expect to pass a lot more urine.
That is true, and that's a cleansing process.
It's a cleansing process.
Yes, it's a cleansing.
It cleans your body out.
Absolutely, it does, and it helps the bowel movement as well. Especially if you have a lot of citric acid from oranges. You pass. Because there always must be a balance of how much water you need. So if it's in excess, you have to pass it.
What are some of the specific illnesses that we can contract or perhaps make worse if we drink less than 6 or 7 or 8 bottles of water a day?
So many.
What are the most common ones?
Especially the kidney, kidney problems. Yes, because the kidneys manufacture or create the balance of the amount of water you have in your system, and like I said, if you don't drink enough water and you're eating foods with condiments, salt, sugar, and so on.
Lots of pepper.
You damage the kidneys.
Very hard on the kidneys.
Very, very hard. Very, very, especially with salt. And
especially with salt. And
yeah,
we love lots of salt because we love lots of pepper. Dorcas calling us from Hacho. Good morning, Dorcas. Welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank Doctor for educating us on water today. Because I take in a lot of water and I realize I have this problem. Anytime I go to bed, I feel this stomach ache and I wake up and then I take water and it's gone. I want to find out why not medicine and water can heal that.
Okay, very good. So you said one of the things to try to do is drink water first thing in the morning and to drink water before meals, so an hour after meals, an hour before after meals. What about at night, just before going to bed or in the course of the night? Is it important at all to drink water?
Very much so.
Why?
Why? Because you have your digestion has been affected. You need to promote assimilation, and you want to prepare to move the bowels. And water will help the bowel movement, just as you go to bed. And as she's saying in her, situation, the pain, all pain is the result of poor circulation of blood. And what is happening in her case is, I believe she's not moving the bowels well, and when she drinks the water, it precipitates, some pressure that would, promote peristalsis. That's the movement, the contraction and relaxation of the bowels. So she has become her own doctor. She knows what to do. When she feels the pain, she drinks the water and helps the body. But I think, first of all, maybe she's not chewing her food well enough. There's a process called Fletcherizing, in which you have to chew the food to become liquid before you swallow. And in our situation, sometimes we don't even chew the food at all. When we eat fufu or banku, some people can even swallow kenke, and that is a big problem, because, the morsel must be broken down to the extent that it can be, assimilated. If the food cannot be broken down, it's going to create problems in the bowel. So I would suggest to her, to try to Fletcherize her food, that is, chew it to liquid form before she swallows, and there will be no pain, I believe.
Okay, Lois says that she is joining us from Nigeria via the internet. She wants to know if water is good for a diabetes patient, and in what quantity. How many bottles would you think someone living with a diabetic condition or any other condition other than a kidney condition, what would you say to that?
Yeah, diabetes is a condition that is presumed to be sugar induced, and normally the sugar level is controlled by medication, and it's supposed to be an incurable condition. In naturopathy, that is a fallacy. Why? Because it is the pancreas that needs repair, and the body is self-repairing, self-maintaining. So for as long as we are able to regenerate the cells of the pancreas to produce insulin, it will be possible to overcome the condition. But regarding his question as to whether how much water can help his condition, I believe that if he's able to promote bowel movement, to create and maintain the level of efficiency of the pancreas, it will be possible to overcome the diabetic condition. So he needs as much water as every one of us requires to help to promote digestion and so on.
Fifi Gordon is still persisting with this question about water or any other naturopathic treatment for varicocele, and that is varicose veins in the spermatic cord. Discomfort.
You see, an aberration. You see, disease is a condition below the standard required for health. Now, the cells have, are not functioning optimally, because of which, the veins have become varicose. I mean, they've enlarged, and so the blood does not flow through. And, if it shows along the feet, it's an embarrassment. It can show in any part of the body. So what he needs to do, normally in naturopathy, to detoxify. The system has become toxic. He's probably not moving the bowels well. He hasn't got enough water to transport the nutrients to parts of the body that where those nutrients are required, and also to bring back the toxins to help.
So water helps to detox.
It's water that
take water
digests the food, water that transports the nutrients and so on. Without water, it is not possible.
Okay, we've got Godwin joining us from Adenta. Good morning, Godwin. Good morning, Godwin. Can you hear me?
Hello, yeah.
Welcome to Sunrise. What's your contribution, question, suggestion? What have you got on your mind?
Actually, I wanted to find out from Doc whether it's good to drink water early morning when you wake up, get out in the morning, you're not eating and you are very thirsty. And then the second question is that we know water is good for the body, but must we drink water even if you are not thirsty, just because of the fact that water is good for the body?
Really nice question. First of all, once again, this question about how beneficial is it to drink water first thing in the morning? How much water should one averagely drink first thing in the morning? And secondly, should one drink the suggested quantity of say 8 liters of water even if one does not feel thirsty?
Yes, when you're constipating, your initial question about water therapy, you need to fill the tummy with enough water. You feel some discomfort if you do that, but I bet you within 30 minutes you empty the bowels as if you've taken a purgative, and that is real. You see, and that goes to show the sort of how much water we are drinking. If you don't drink enough water, definitely when you wake up in the morning, you need to do something to help you to move your bowels. But naturally, normally, animals in the wild, they move their bowels without any problems. But we constipate. Why? Because we are eating the wrong foods and we don't know which measures to institute or to help us move the bowels. Water will do that for us. So that is how we answer the water therapy issue. Drink enough water and you'll be able to move the bowels. Have high water content foods, to help to create perfect cells in the system. Most of the time we don't eat enough fruits in the natural state, which have not been processed. The tomatoes, they are fruits. We can take them. We don't even have tomato juice, fresh tomato juice. We have fresh orange juice, but hardly fresh tomato juice. I think Ghanaian entrepreneurs must take up that challenge and to see how best we can create an environment in which we make the best use of our fruits, to have the high water content foods.
Thank you very much. Dr. Faye Ajimang is a naturopath and a practitioner of alternative medicine. You can look him up. I'm going to post his contact details on our page on Facebook, or you can send me a message requesting to speak to Dr. Faye Ajimang in private if it's something that you want to ask, like Felix I asking about water preventing DNA damage and its repair mechanism becoming more efficient due to the presence or the absence of water. That's a truly advanced question, Felix. So I'm going to put you in touch with Dr. Faye Ajimang.